tremendous balance here. Equally matched crew chiefs and Richards and Beard. Equally matched drivers. Ormsby, Amato. The cars very similar. Now, this is a pick-em final in Top Fuel. One thing that really is at stake is the Winston points lead. If Amato wins, he can take it. Gary Ormsby stages the final round of the Summer Nationals. And it certainly was no disappointment. Susie Hoops celebrates Gary Ormsby's victory. Gary retains his points lead. Don Garlits is at the starting line.
Just how does it feel to watch them old men get after it like that?
Absolutely incredible. I'm so happy for them. Absolutely. To watch them work as hard as they do and they get the reward like this, it's wonderful.
A real thrill, huh?
Yeah, it's great.
Well, Don Garlits, you said from the very beginning that that could be the matchup, Ormsby and Amato. You were sure right.
Well, Gary Ormsby takes his traditional starting line advantage and puts 0.03 of a second in the bank. Amato's car, on the other hand, begins to misfire a little on one of the cylinders. This highly competitive world of drag racing, that's a no-no. It allows Gary Ormsby to take a very decisive win.
Here's Steve. Well, in the never-ending battle between Gary Ormsby and Joe Amato, this one, Gio, belongs to you.
Well, thank you, Steve. It was really hard. This was a tough weekend. You know, Joe has been tough all weekend. He's kind of upstaged us on everything we've done this weekend except this final round, and we're real pleased to win.
You'd run a 499, he'd run a 498, back and forth.
Exactly, and we finally run a 490. He runs 495, and that's what a tough competitor he is, and that's how tough this points chase is.
Had he beat you, he would be the leader.
That's for sure. When we knew that going in here, we wanted to win this real bad because every point counts, and that's 200 more right there.
Again.
Now, Amato in and staged. Hawley, the last to come into the beams. A tremendous race. And what a storybook finish. Frank Hawley driving the Darrell Gwynn-owned Top Fuel dragster. Look at the emotion being released out of the cockpit. Jerry Gwynn, Darrell's dad, surrounded by the crew at the starting line. The elapsed time for Hawley, a 5:12. The losing time, a 5:22. In replay, you can see a very slight advantage that was gained by Amato in reaction times, but the power of the Gwynn dragster made up for it. As they neared the finish line, Hawley pulled ahead and took the win.
Everyone in Top Fuel has said, if the Gwynn car comes back with a capable driver, it will be unstoppable. Frank Hawley, obviously more than capable, and they were right. The gold car could not be stopped.
I think it's all been said. I mean, this has got to be a storybook finish.
You bet.
This is for Darrell, and when he watches this, he's going to know what we're talking about. The car, I said it before, the car's set up so perfectly that as a driver, in spite of the fact that I think I'm capable, it's just a winner. That Coors team, they supported Darrell with a driver switch, which they didn't have to do. And Ken Vaney and Gary Clark and Jerry and the rest of the guys, they put the car in a winner's circle. I just try not to make any mistakes.
We have just received word you have been voted the Goodyear driver of the race, Frank.
You know, that's neat because I've been watching that Goodyear driver award for a while, sitting at home, and I didn't know how in the world I was going to win it. So it's obviously thanks to Darrell Gwynn put me here. This is really his spot, this little piece of real estate. Darrell's, and I'm just occupying it for a while.
Thank you, Frank.
Truly an emotional moment. Good times, that's what Eddie Hill thrives on. Darrell Gwynn thrives on good times. He likes his all in the 4-second range. He's had 2 of them thus far this race, one in qualifying, another in the first round of racing. Now, the final of the Gator Nationals. Eddie Hill and Darrell Gwynn. To the finish line first is Darrell Gwynn. His elapsed time, 5.01 at 2:79. Eddie Hill very close at a 5:08, 2:75. Gwynn just a hair sharper as we watch an instant replay at the starting line. His reaction time about 0.02 of a second quicker than Eddie Hill. but Hill gave Darrell all he could ask for until the last few hundred feet when Gwynn pulled ahead for the victory. At the far end, our champion and Steve Evans.
Back-to-back Motorcraft quality parts, Gator Nationals, your favorite race, and you've done it again.
You bet, Steve. I'll tell you, that race went over real quick. I remember, last thing I remember is leaving the start line, and here I am in the winner's circle. I'll tell you, at nighttime racing, I'll tell you, it's a pleasure to be here in front of all you people, especially my hometown fans. I'm glad you all got to be here, and my sponsor, Coors and Kindle, Dodge, Mopar, thank you very much. I owe it to you. Most of all, I want to say one thing, that when I got started in racing, it was my friends that got me to where they're at, and every one of them are sitting in the grandstands here today, and I mean it.
No question about that. The biggest crowd all weekend long has been around the kid from Miami.
Well, Steve, maybe they knew something we didn't. Darrell.
Was 9/100ths of a second slower than Hawley in the round of 4. But as Frank told Steve Evans, remember, Ormsby is noted for his reaction times off the starting line. Down now to the final staging procedures. As they creep forward into the lights, it indicates they're ready. Buster Count sends them on their way. And Gary Ormsby pulls off the upset. 5:09 at 278 miles an hour. Hawley was the car to slow. 5:11 at 279. Let's look again in replay. It was Ormsby all the way. 1/100th of a second quicker off the starting line. 2/100ths of a second quicker to cover the quarter mile. And that was the margin of victory as Hawley closed it down at the finish, but yet not enough.
1 year ago today, Gary Ormsby was upside down on this racetrack. Now you're just tipped over with happiness, really.
That's for sure, Steve. You know, we tried not to let it worry us a little bit about what happened here last year and about all the extra pressure of the hometown people and everything. And, well, I got to admit it was a little extra pressure today, but we pulled it off.
One of these drivers will soon join the winner's celebration at the far end of the racetrack. Will it be Gary Ormsby or will it be Gene Snow? It almost wasn't Gene Snow.
Well, I'll tell you, when I drove these top fuel dragsters, a thing like that used to rattle me when the engine almost died and the crew had to run up there and shoot fuel in the injectors. I hope it doesn't affect Gene Snow's performance this afternoon.
All right, Snowman in the far lane. The defending champion, the man that wears the big number 1 on his wing, Gary Ormsby in the near lane. He has not won yet this season. Ormsby with one of the best reaction times of the day in any class. It is Ormsby. A sigh of relief from his crew chief, a 5:15 to a 5:14, much like the funny car final round. Let's go to Brock with Lee Beard.
Well, Lee, I'll tell you what, we got to give Mr. Ormsby some points on that one. That was a great piece of driving.
Oh, he did a spectacular job for us all day here. We're really proud to be part of this Castrol team. We won in all 3 of the pro categories. It wasn't our team, the tune-up, that did it. My guys worked awfully hard today, but Gary did a superb job of driving. That's why we're here in the winner's circle.
Under difficult conditions, this racetrack was far from ideal.
We've had some problems making a lot of horsepower in the hot air, and we need to do a little testing, get caught up in that area, but we're coming on it.
Well, it was a great show and a great race. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, Lee Beard. We won here. Excellent show at Baton Rouge.
Well, Lee Beard rightfully gives credit to Gary Ormsby for a fine driving job all day long. And here we see him take a tremendous starting line advantage. But the power of the Gene Snow engine quickly overcomes that advantage, and it looks like he might go on to win. But Gene Snow starts into a slight wheel stand, has to momentarily backpedal, and that's all Gary Ormsby needed to pull the win out for the team. Now, as we look at the comparisons on the screen, we see how Ormsby won with a .434 starting line advantage over Gene Snow's .504. And I'll tell you, that's where the dragster won.
The reigning Winston champ has struck his first blow of the 90s. Congratulations, Gary.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to ever happen, Steve. It was a great job for the crew, you know, I don't know what we ran.
5:15.
5:15. I knew it was going to step up a little bit. And anyone that wins on this racetrack and under these conditions, they did a super job for me this weekend.
Gene Snow's car, I don't know if you could see it, but it lost fire. A crewman alertly got it back to life. He almost hit a single.
I saw the flames coming out of it back there, but I really didn't know what was happening. You know, I was just kind of watching my own car, but I didn't see. Why did...
And I have a feeling we may have saved the very best for last. Gary Ormsby, the #1 on his car. Well, that tells the history of his last season. He is the Winston champion against Joe Amato, the man he stole the #1 from, Big Daddy.
And who finished #2 last year. So this is a race of races. You know, Joe Amato, he wants to win this race. There's no love lost between these two drivers. You know, when you run that heated a competition over a whole year's period of time, it gets very difficult to be real friendly.
And Ormsby would love to have Amato's lane, but he lost lane choice in that encounter with Shirley Muldowney when he had to get off the power. Ormsby, the last to stage. It is Ormsby away first. But Amato, with a ragged-sounding engine, still wins it at 5:05. 275 to Ormsby's 5:11. Joe Amato is your champion. Don is at the starting line with the crew chief.
Heck of a job there, Tim.
It always feels good to be in the winner's circle. My guys did a great job, and Joe is being part of this crew. He's just a real good driver. We enjoy this kind of stuff.
Well, we know you've had a hard time getting adapted to all these new rules, but it seems to be coming around.
Well, sooner or later, the cream will come to the top. Thank you.
Good luck.
So Tim Richards goes down to join Joe Amato. Notice Gary Ormsby's car. He was again deep stage.
He took a tremendous starting line advantage. He was ready for Joe Amato, but that clutch combination of that pneumatic timers was just a little bit much. Beard hasn't quite got the handle on that yet. Amato was losing pistons, but he still got to the end first.
Well, this championship final was won by the team that best managed their horsepower. It hooked up all the way down to a 5:05, Joe.
Steve, what can I say? You know, it's been a couple months here. It's a pleasure to bring our new team, Valvoline Top Fuel Dragster, into the final here. You know, Mr. Gasket, Joe Ruck is up there up in the suite there looking on. He's one of our sponsors, Keystone, Key Parts. We've got a lot of sponsors, a lot of people help the car.
Tell me about the race itself.
Well, it was Gary Ormsby's always leaves the line good, so you know it was going to be exciting.
He did again.
I'm sure of that, but you know, Timmy said we got to just go for it. He hoped the track was good. They tried to put the motor on a little extra power and step it up in the final, and you know, we just was hoping that we had enough, and my job was to get off at least even when we were close. See, everybody gets confused with this deep stage and stuff. Sure. Everybody has to get that straightened up, but you know, the car went out and it shook just a tweak, but it went right down the track. You know, and when we were side by side, all I kept hoping is, because it was starting to drift a little, it went out of the center line a little bit, and I tried to just make it, you know, keep it straight so get the maximum performance. And I didn't really know if I won for sure. It was that close.
So much for Joe Amato having to have a red car to win.
Well, you know, this team Valvoline red, white, and blue car, they call me Captain America. Hopefully it'll bring us a lot of luck. You know, we're real happy to be involved with Valvoline. They've got a good Say No to Drugs program, and it's a nice company, and we're a real pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
And it's something that only happens at night. We're ready. The final pair. Cheryl Johnson looks on, toes crossed, fingers crossed, even her eyes are crossed, trying to wish Kenny Bernstein into the winner's circle. Joe Amato, the dominant car of this entire event. Bernstein with a magnificent start. Where's Amato? There's Amato. Kenny Bernstein with the leave of his life. Amato, 5:10, an unheard of elapsed time on the mountain at 275 miles per hour. Don Garlits is down in that melee trying to find crew chief Tim Richards. Don?
Strong run. Well, the air is pretty good here, but we've lost too many finals this year, and we aim to turn it around. That's why we're a little slow in qualifying. We're just going to turn the way we do things around and wind up a little stronger than we have in the final. It's been a hallmark of this team to be consistent, but we've lost too many finals, and we're aiming to turn that around. We need to keep Joe king of the hill.
Well said, Tim, and an excellent effort as he put together an absolutely powerhouse automobile here at the Mile High Nationals for Joe Amato.
Bernstein makes one of the best starts of his life, but the car just wasn't up to the power that Tim Richards had produced. He ran better and better every run, setting track records consistently, and that's what it takes to be a winner. And he is the champion.
Well, Joe Amato has won the Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals. He's taken the Winston points lead. He's run the quickest elapsed time in the history of the state of Colorado. All is well on Thunder Mountain, Joe.
Steve, I'm speechless. You know, you ever get a monkey on your back? We got us a hat trick. Three Mile High Mopar Nationals in a row. What can I say? You know, the race has been every 4 finals. You know, when you get the 4 finals, you don't want to start thinking about you're going to get it again. Something's going to happen. So it's just.
Tell us about the race with Kenny.
It's a load off my back. You know, just I knew Kenny was going to be tough, and I think he left a little bit on me because he seemed like he was fighting me. But the car just went out there and it went right down the track. You know, what do we run?
5:10.
5:10. God, and this mile high in the sky to run 5:10. The Bandimers, it's a credit to them and NHRA to hang tough with this race, to stay here and run the race on Monday night, and all the fans from Bandimere come out here to see us race. It was a pleasure to do it. And my
Can you hang on to this points lead?
Well, it's going to be tough. You know, they got us in Ormsby seems to be. We're away from the pack a little bit, but it's going to be tight right down to the end. But this team, Valvoline, Top Fuel Dragster, and Tim Richards, and my wife, and Jeff, and Jimmy, and Wayne, and all the guys are doing such a good job keeping the car running steady. It's gonna. We want to make it exciting for the fans. That's what it's all about.
Tremendous amounts of pressure being put on Amato at this point as he is striving for his 3rd Winston title, where he would join 2 other drivers, Shirley Muldowney and Big Daddy Don Garland, both of whom have achieved that goal. The utmost in concentration needed on the part of both drivers. They take their own time, they're set. Tremendous racing. And Joe Amato upsets Dick LaHaye. A driving job by Amato pays off. 5.04 the winning time at 272 miles an hour. Dick LaHaye a quicker elapsed time at 5:01.275. 0.04 of a second was gained on the starting line by Joe Amato, and that is what made the difference at the finish line. We talk about the intense concentration needed to drive one of these cars. This was a perfect example. Amato's car smoking as it neared the finish line, but he held on by that much to take the title. Here are the numbers. The total margin of difference when you add reaction time and elapsed time, 18 thousandths of a second. What a tremendous exhibition of driving skill. Steve?
Joe Amato just gave his wife, Jerry, the birthday present she wanted the most, and you did it driving. Your 04 beat his 01.
I knew it was going to be a lot of pressure because I knew the lane was bad. It got out in the middle and started moving all around, and he almost drove by me. I didn't know who won. It was that close.
You saw him all the way down the racetrack?
Yeah, he was right there, and I got out down the track and it started moving around. And Timmy told me right before I left the line to make sure I try and keep it straight if it starts moving around a little bit, and I just tried to keep it straight, and then he started moving on me when I was spinning the tires, and God, it was a close race.
You had to be holding your breath when you hit that throttle.
Well, I didn't know what was going to happen, Steve, but the front wheels came up and the car just took off like a rabbit, like my jackrabbit.
And all your lucky charms came through.
Jackrabbit in here, buddy. He pulled me one out of the hat here. Well, I won't get him out now, but Snoopy and all the guys did the job this weekend for my wife. Now she gets to kiss Darrell Alderman in the winner's circle. I don't know if that's so good, but for Team Valvoline and Tim Richards and my team, all the guys, they did an outstanding job keeping that car running good.
Now, Laurie Johns is challenging the #1 qualifier, the quickest car on the racetrack. That is Joe Amato, the 1988 Winston champ. In the previous rounds, Laurie has been deep staging, trying to gain an advantage at the starting line. A few inches here could mean a difference of a couple of feet at the finish. She does it again. And Laurie Johns wins it by just a couple of inches. What a tremendous race with Joe Amato. Laurie winning her 2nd race this season. And what a celebration amongst the Johns family and crew. Laurie's mother reflecting definitely the enthusiasm of this victory, and it was close. The elapsed times identical between the two cars. 5:02 for Laurie Johns, 5:02 for Joe Amato. Her advantage at the starting line, about 0.02 of a second. And look how close it was at the finish. Laurie wins it by just a couple of feet. Steve?
6/1000ths of a second difference between your lapse times and Joe's, but you got there first. It doesn't matter. You are the champion at Top Fuel. 5:02.
5:02, that's fantastic. We were very, very confident going into the final round. I guess we shouldn't have been, but we just had a good feeling about it. And we said, we're going to win this race. And Larry Meyer, my crew chief, is probably the most brilliant man out here tuning one of these race cars today. And Ronnie Wood and Ted Fashing, my father, Terry Johns, and here they come. I can hear them honking on their way down here now.
What a way to christen a brand new race car.
Yeah, this brand new Jolly Rancher Top Fuel dragster is just absolutely incredible. And we wouldn't be here without the folks at Jolly Rancher, so it's nice to win at the Southern Nationals. There is something that I really have to say, though. There hasn't been a moment since Monday morning at 9 o'clock that there's a certain person that has been on my mind every single minute of every single day, and that's Daryl Gwynn.
We've all felt that way, don't we?
And he should have won this race this weekend, and he should have won every race this year. And my thoughts and my prayers have been with him every moment of the day, and we love you, Daryl, and we can't wait till you come back.
And he wants you to go celebrate.
We will.
Dick LaHaye, exactly twice the age of Laurie Johns. But in this sport, as we've seen today, age means absolutely nothing. How quick and how fast can you cover 1,320 feet? They leave as one. Laurie Johns has won the Winter National. Laurie Johns becomes only the third woman to ever win in the Kings of the Sport Top Fuel dragsters. The entire place is absolutely bedlam, led by Julia Johns. Don Garlits is down in all of that madness with the man responsible for her horsepower, Larry Meyer.
Unreal!
It's a Cinderella story, that's all I can say.
That's what we were saying. Fred and I were saying it could be a Cinderella story.
We've seen something that last round, we've seen something we needed to change, and we did, and it worked, so we're looking pretty good.
Great stuff.
You better believe it. And Steve is with the new Top Fuel champion.
Laurie Johns has won her first ever NHRA national event. Congratulations.
Thank you. You know, Steve, that they say that the luckiest man alive is one who thinks himself so, and I think I'm the luckiest person alive.
Side by side, 5:03. She had a little edge off the mark.
Oh, my God. Can you believe that? The slowest woman in the world off the starting line I have. My father's going to be so happy because he teases me so much about being late off the starting line, and I actually won one. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my crew. I've been called a passenger in a fast car, and that's really what I am. And I don't really have anything to do with this car other than I ride in it. And the people that deserve the credit are Larry Meyer, my crew chief, Ronnie Woods, Ted Fashing, my father, Terry Johns, and we wouldn't be here at all without the people at Jolly Rancher. They put us here.
Does it feel as good as you always imagined it might?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's happening to me. I rolled around when I saw my car go through the lights first. I just thought, how is this happening to me? I mean, somehow I just thought it would never happen.
You believed in yourself.
Yes.
If you work for anything long enough, good things will happen, Don Garlits.
Yes, it will, and this is what makes Top Fuel racing so exciting. Watch this start. The cars are like they're welded together. They leave the line together. Look at the front wheels on Laurie Johns' car. Just tippy-toeing, going down the strip, just barely keeping enough traction on those front wheels to control that car. The cars at half track are still tied together, but at the end, that tiny little bit of difference made Laurie Johns the winner.